You're watching Amateur Attempts, the show where I take recipes and I recreate them as an amateur in the kitchen. Today, we're making an olive oil cake, courtesy of Gourmand olive oil. The recipe is in this little book that I got, and so we're gonna see what it's like. It's a chiffon cake, vanilla chiffon cake. I have some things measured out here, but it mostly is just pretty simple. You got flour, sugar, baking powder, salt, some eggs, water, vanilla extract, and that's about it. It goes into a half sheet tray, so it should be a relatively small cake, but I'm looking forward to it because I've always wanted to try an olive oil cake. With that said, let's just start mixing shit. Before anything can get mixed, I have to separate the egg whites from the yolks. I'm gonna do that haphazardly with my hands. Oh, it went kind of poorly, I'm not gonna lie. And so after an embarrassingly long time, I have separated the whites from the yolks. As you can see here, maybe you can see that, maybe you can't. So I got 1 cup of flour right here, going into the bowl. 2 teaspoons of baking powder into the bowl. Half a teaspoon of salt. And now I'm just gonna whisk those together by hand. Bit of a poverty solution, a little bit of an organic stand mixer of sorts. So once that's mostly homogeneous, I'm gonna move on to the wet ingredients, which is water, vanilla extract, egg yolks, half of the white sugar this recipe calls for, which is like 1 cup, and a 1/4 cup of Sizzle, which is Gourmand's brand of olive oil. Once again, this is not sponsored, I just happen to be using their recipe. Half the white sugar goes in as well. I don't own a hand mixer or a stand mixer, so I'm just gonna do it with this hand blender and see how that goes. I'm a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie. Oh! All right, way too dank, way too dank. It's getting everywhere. I'm making a huge mess. I just got too much torque in this hand blender. It's like, it's too much. Too much with the whisking, I don't like it. Now I'm gonna take the dry ingredients and incorporate it into the yolk mixture. This is stupid. Why am I doing this? Oh man, Amateur Attempts has hit a new low. Oh, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. All right. Well, silver lining, at the very least, it looks like a homogeneous and smooth batter, but I did get it literally everywhere, like across the hall into the next room. So after that fiasco in the large bowl with the large mixer, I'm gonna try to whip some egg whites into shape. This time it's the whites that are getting whipped, but I'm gonna try and we got the egg whites in the bowl, going in. So the egg whites are now foamy. I'm gonna start streaming in the sugar. I don't know if I'll be able to whisk it and stream the sugar at the same time. Seems like a bit of a challenge, a bit advanced, a bit far past my pay grade, but we'll see how it goes. Oh, the bowl spins. I don't know if it's supposed to do that, but it does. Oh, I'm getting egg whites everywhere. This is a war of attrition, all right? I'm gonna keep going until the stiff peaks form. If they don't form, then I'm just gonna use what I have and bake it anyway. It'll be fine. It's not my fault. It's their recipe. Oh my God, I blew it. I sprayed everywhere. Oh dude, this reminds me of high school so much. And after what feels like 20 minutes of straight whisking with that electric hand mixer blender thing, I hardly know her, it's finally come together. It's not the stiffest peaks you've ever seen, but it doesn't need to be the stiffest. It just has to get the job done. It really just says until it's thick and glossy. It doesn't necessarily mention stiff peaks. So this is pretty thick, this is pretty glossy. I'm just gonna go for it. What's left is to fold it into the batter and then get the batter on the sheet tray and bake it for 20 minutes. I hope that this is enough. I hope I did enough here. The batter is starting to dehydrate actually. It's been a minute since we assessed the batter because the meringue just took so long. Try not to knock the air out of the meringue. It kind of looks like marshmallow fluff. I kind of want to put it in my mouth, but I shall not. I will not. It probably isn't safe. But whenever I see something thick, white, and creamy, I just can't help myself. I'm sorry. Sometimes, man, I just say dumb shit and wonder why people unsubscribe. All right, so I finally folded in the meringue into the batter and we have like something looking smooth, glossy, and beautiful. We do have parchment paper all around here as per the recipe. And at long last, I'm gonna put this into the oven for 20 minutes and we should have our cake ready to go. And after sufficiently cooling down the vanilla chiffon cake, we have here the treasure, the prize of the United States. What the government was after this entire time, this oil-filled cake. Only thing left is to try it, see if it stands up to all the effort that it took to make that meringue. Because it did take me like 25 minutes. You could say that I didn't have the tools for the job, and that might be true, but no, you're right. That's all I got, you're right. A little bit of whip on there. I gotta say, this is my first time ever having a chiffon cake of any kind, whether it's vanilla or literally any flavor. So I didn't know what to expect going into this. This is actually very reminiscent to a bread that my grandmother would make on a regular basis. It was like an egg-based bread. It would always come out much like this one, where it's very airy, very light crumb structure, and then a thin layer of crispy crust on top. And this has that. It has a slight piquant flavor from the olive oil. So you definitely notice that it's there. You definitely get some of that spiciness, that herbaceousness. Comes through nicely, but it's not overpowering by any means. And overall, it's a sweet cake. It's nice, it's tasty. So in the end, I give this cake 83 Chef Johns out of 92. Shout out to Graza for the recipe. Shout out to Natasha Pikowicz. I hope I said that right. I probably didn't say it right, but shout out to both of y'all for the recipe. And shout out to the most important people of them all, the ones who give me money, because I really appreciate that. It means a lot to me. Shout out to She Shells, shout out to Max Ginn, and shout out to everybody on the fridge. If you too would like to get on the fridge or just support the show in general, the link to the Patreon is in the pinned comment below. Go make this cake. It was really good. I enjoyed it. I think it was worth the effort. Very light, very airy, slightly sweet, slightly piquant. It's a good time.